Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I am Blake Harrison and joining me as always is Stuart.
What?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
Not bad, not bad. I mean, we've had a week, haven't we? I always moan at you saying, "Oh, I'm so busy." I don't think we've had a week as busy as those people at the UFC this week.
Oh my God.
They've been putting a shift in there, I reckon.
Oh, mate. Everywhere they turn, fighters are dropping like flies and they're having to call in the replacements. That's what we'll be talking about today. We will be going over fighters that have dropped out. Obviously, we finally got the I don't want to say clarification, but we finally got the official announcement that Conor McGregor is out of UFC 303. Michael Chandler is hopefully for him, waiting around to see if that gets rebooked. Yuri Procházka has come in. We will get onto all this. Also, there's been the situation with Khamzat Chimaev in the Saudi card that's coming up this weekend. We will talk about all of that and what it means for those cards and how we see some of those fights going, I guess. And a little chat briefly about what happened this weekend at the UFC Apex with Tatsuro Taira and Alex Perez. So that's all to come. Before we get on to all of that, how's things? Did you watch football? Euros are on now. England played yesterday.
Well, I'm not a big football fan anymore. I was when I was a youngster, but it's combat sports for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And but I guess like most people, the Euros pulled me in, and I have been watching most games actually when I get an opportunity. But yeah, I did sort of sit down and watch the England game last night against Serbia. I fell asleep halfway through the second half. I'm not just saying that because it was boring. I actually fell asleep. It didn't hold my attention.
No, I didn't even actually watch because I've gone way off football over the last 4 years. But I didn't watch it because my sons weirdly started talking about football out of nowhere, and so I purposefully didn't watch it and stayed off the socials. I treated it like a UFC pay-per-view, and I tried to avoid any spoilers.
Love it.
So that he came into me at about 6 this morning. I was like, "Dad, let's watch football." So then we went downstairs and I watched the highlights, not the full game.
Yeah.
And I think I lucked out because everyone else that wasted 2 hours of their lives watching that game, I only watched it for about 20 minutes. And I still got the gist.
The highlights would have been
That
sufficient.
was it. Who would win a Euros of fighting, a Euros of MMA? Russia?
I wouldn't want to mess with Serbia.
Be Russia though, wouldn't it? If it was a Euros of MMA and you had to pick like 3 or 4 fighters per country, Russia are probably winning it, are they? I don't know. I mean, UK have got a couple of champs.
Yeah, but I looked at that England squad last night, and
I mean in using fighters. If they just went, we're going to do a Euros of MMA. So I don't know, the top 5, 6 fighters from every European country are going to go into some weird system where they're all fighting each other. Who comes out on top?
It's Russia, isn't it?
Russia. I worry about the Russians would probably win, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, before we sort of take a deep...
You didn't want to go too far into that, did you? I was like, I've not got this on my nose. Wouldn't that be an interesting conversation? The Euros are fighting. Stu's like, Russia. Moving on from this stupid conversation.
Well, first of all, I was quite intrigued. So I was thinking, right, so football teams, like when you see them kind of competitions on YouTube where there's like 30 versus 30 in some sort of arena that you just think, I don't know what country this sport is taking place in. Like the footage that I presume you've seen of Eddie Hall, like tossing like 2 very small MMA fighters around. I don't know what that was but it was quite surreal. But I think if you had to sort of pitch teams against each other, I wouldn't have sort of put a lot of faith in the England team. I looked at it and I just thought, they don't look very handy.
No.
And I'm generalising here. Football fans are going to hate me, but I can't be doing with all this rolling around, holding your feet, screaming, and then 2 seconds later getting up.
I think watching combat sports as regularly as we do, it does add an extra layer of, oh, for fuck's sake, come on.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Don't get me wrong. Some of the injuries obviously horrific and stuff like that. You get some really bad tackles, that stuff. But some of it is like, come on, mate.
Yeah.
it's
not Michael
ridiculous.
Bisping, like, with one eye that doesn't even exist anymore, and the other eye, he gets hit in it and he can't see. He's fighting blind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really see that footballers kind of ever endure anything anywhere near that.
No. Well, should we move on? That's the Euros of fighting. Done.
Do you know what? I don't even know if I should say this on here, but
oh God,
I've been so caught up in trying to catch up on the UFC and watching the football, and I've been working in my club all over the weekend, and it was Father's Day. I don't even know if Cyborg won, and she was our guest last week.
Yeah, no, she did. Round
did.
2. Just, it went as expected.
What? Cyborg
beat up a model.
a YouTuber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, not a lot of people were thinking that she would, but yeah. Cyborg, the combat sports legend, absolutely smashed up a model, effectively.
Do you know what would have made that better? If her kit had come from Ferocious Fightwear.
Oh, I love what you've done there. Because she was pretty ferocious.
Yeah. And she needs fightwear. Where better to go than ferociousfightwear.com, who are the sponsor, one of 2 sponsors of this show. Go check them out. If you're watching this show, you can see all the garms on the desk in front of us. If not, head over to their website. Go check them out, ferociousfightwear.com. And when you've made your little purchases, pop in the discount code MMA Show. MMA Fan Show, I should say. MMA Fan Show 15. That's MMA Fan Show 15. And you will save yourself a bit of money. And it also goes to show them that the sponsorship with this podcast is working well for them. Who else we got, Blake?
We got Fat Candy, which I just love to say. I'm in a happy mood today. I think I've just had a Coke Zero and I'm a bit buzzy.
You literally said, I'm going to have a little sugar here. And you had a Coke Zero instead of eating some fat candy.
Well, there's no sugar in the Coke Zero, mate. It's just it's caffeine.
Pure
it's all
caffeine.
caffeine.
This is my 3rd cup of coffee here.
Yeah, people are loving all these little tidbits of information, aren't they? Anyway, Fat Candy, freeze-dried sweets, all your favourite little penny sweets and things like that, freeze-dried. You'll love them. The kids will love them, and you'll love them even more. Look, Stu Whiff in there, eating a couple for camera, modelling them. And the discount code we can give you if you want to get some money off your freeze-dried sweet needs is Sweet MMA. That's SWEET. MMA, and then you will get some money off your freeze-dried sweetie goodness. I'm gonna have one of them.
I have one of them. We'd like to show you the Skittles, but
they're all gone. I've eaten the Skittles, a massive box of the Skittles. They are all gone. I smashed through them. So sorry about that. There you go.
So once again, discount code is Sweet MMA. So head over to Fat Candy, and also if you're not interested in buying sweets or fightwear. Pop over to any post that we've posted on the socials recently, and you will see them tagged in it. Give them a follow, give them a little bit of support because, they've backed us. So if we can help support them as much as we can, that will be wonderful.
Yes, we're looking at a picture of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Couple of red X's on them. We're not surprised, are we? With what went down, with the press conference being cancelled, and then it was like things aren't looking good, and then there was a bit of positivity, maybe things would look good. Now, finally, we know it's not happening. Thoughts? Feelings?
Well, do you know what? I feel like I went a bit hard on Conor last episode out.
Did you get some hate?
No, I don't think so. I've not read the comments. Come for you. I'm not sure. But I think I'm just a bit sad because as much as, Conor, his recent fight record isn't the most exciting to look at, it's always exciting when he makes that walk to the octagon because of who he is and what he done as a younger fighter was very exciting. And he's, and I think we was going to get something fun fighting Michael Chandler. There was going to be fireworks, as there always is. Conor's never in a boring fight.
Nope.
Say what you want about him, but that is fact. Michael Chandler's never in that many boring fights either.
Not since
And
coming to the UFC, for sure. He's ditched his... And I think that is what this would have been.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler would have gone, nah, I'm not going to bother with all the wrestling stuff, which he's very, very good at, and probably is an underused skill or technique in his arsenal. He should use his wrestling more as a fighter, but he doesn't. He just wants to go out there and put on fun scraps for the fans. That would have played into Conor's hands a little bit more. I still don't know if he would have actually won the fight, Conor. I'm not sure about that, but it would have definitely been the strategy that helped Conor out a little bit more. We would have got a fun fight. We would have got, for as long as it would have lasted, we would have got a really fun fight. So yeah, it is a shame because no one can top Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor brings the most eyeballs to the sport. He's the biggest star the sport's ever created, had, however you want to say that. So to lose Conor McGregor from a fight card, he is irreplaceable. For the fans that have spent all this money, we're hearing so much about $20 million gate. It's not going to be the same paying that money for anyone else. Yeah. It's not the same as Conor McGregor. On top of that, you've got the fact that Conor has had that horrific injury in the Dustin Poirier fight that he's just coming back from. He's getting a bit, well, he's getting older, mid-30s now, whatever. How much longer can Conor McGregor fight in the UFC for? So one of those tickets, you're paying that big bucks for those tickets. That is to see the biggest icon or name the sport has ever produced fight live. Nothing's going to top that. Yeah.
And we've still not had any, correct me if I'm wrong, clarification as to what was wrong with Conor.
I haven't heard anything exact. We know it's an injury, but we're not exactly sure what that injury is. I don't know what's wrong with my mouth today. But we don't know exactly what that injury is. But it's not right for it to come out either. Because as much as people might want clarification, it's not fair to give his opponent or future opponents. I mean, we already know he's got that titanium shin bone. If the injury is on that leg, it does make you think, is he ever going to come back? Because he shattered that leg that had an injury before going into the Poirier fight. Obviously, it's then snapped during the fight. If the injury is on that same leg, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is, how long's the recovery going to be? Is he going to be okay? Is he ever going to be the same again? Is he going to make it into the octagon ever again? I mean, I think he will. I think he's driven enough to do it, and I think the UFC have got too many financial incentives to not have him fight again.
Well, they're saying they're going to try and get it sorted in a few months, right?
That's the latest I've heard, that they want to rebook this fight, Chandler versus McGregor. Maybe it does take place at the Sphere. The problem I've heard about the Sphere is that it doesn't seat as many people, so are they going to be able to get a $20 million gate? That is iffy. Are people going to pay that price knowing, well, we pulled out a few months ago? And again, this is the first time Conor McGregor's ever pulled out of a UFC fight. I am not in any way saying that Conor's some kind of pull-out merchant or anything like that. That is not the case at all. But when people are parting with such huge sums of money, are you going to be doing that, booking flights, booking hotels, all that stuff, when you're like, there's a doubt as to whether he'll make it or not? Because I said, we don't know what the injury is. If it's just like, it's done something to his hand or, something to his other leg or whatever, his foot, whatever, a couple of months might be fine, no problem. But if it is that same leg that was shattered beforehand, it does make you go, God, is he going to come back properly? And I want to see it. As much as there's personal issues with Conor McGregor, that we've seen all the things that the old man in the pub, allegations left, right and centre, all these things just make you go, I'm kind of coming off that Conor train now. I'm not enjoying him as much as I used to. But for the sport itself, to have him fight, I think, is a great thing for the sport because it pulls in the eyeballs, and it's also maybe Conor back to where he's best, just being a fighter. Maybe one of the problems has been the time away, all that money, the partying, all that kind of stuff. Maybe
sounds rubbish, doesn't it?
Yeah, but seeing a dialed-in Conor McGregor, maybe that's not only best for the sport, fans of the sport. Maybe it's the best thing for Conor McGregor as well. So I do want to see him back. And I want to see him back at as close to his best as we can get. I don't think he'll ever be back to his best, that 2016, 2015 kind of period. I don't think anything will beat that. But to see Conor McGregor as at the best he can be at this age would be a wonderful thing to see. And hopefully we will get it before the end of the year. Hopefully it will be something like the Sphere. And again, I've only seen little bits of the Sphere, but what an amazing moment that will ridiculous. Be to have him fight at the Sphere with everything, the technology that has, and the what that would be visually to everyone. It would be an incredible thing. And Conor's spoken about wanting to fight at the Sphere and stuff. So that makes a lot of sense. Would be really good. If it doesn't happen at the Sphere, I believe they're gearing up for John Jones Stipe in Madison Square Garden. That's November. So are you thinking Vegas in December? It's an awfully long time for Michael Chandler to keep waiting. What's the cutoff? What's the cutoff for Chandler? Because if they turn around to him and say, we're booking it for September at the Sphere, great. Couple of months, no problem. I can wait that long again. If they say December, it's another 6 months of him not earning any money. But it's the Conor fight. Everything that comes with that, sponsorships, all that stuff, your profile, is probably worth the extra 6 months wait and being out of the cage for total over long. 2 years. Yeah. But what's the cutoff?
It's got to be the end of the year, isn't it?
Because if they're saying, oh, well, we don't know, and Conor's not going to be fit till mid-2025 or early 2025, something like that, does he have to at some point go, I've got to take a fight. Yeah. I've got to fight someone.
Yeah, but
you're risking it, 'cause if you lose...
I mean, we'll talk about Bobby Knuckles in a moment, and taking a fight to, for the sake of taking a fight, not that he's had to because of the way that he's worked, Bobby Knuckles, but you're fighting somebody that isn't necessarily going to make you nowhere near as much money as what fighting Conor McGregor is going to make. And if you lose to this person, does it write off the Conor McGregor fight? Yeah. It's for me, I think he's waited this long. I think he'll sit it out because he knows that it will be huge and serious money in it.
But God, I can only wait for so long. I'm wondering who do you wait for as well? Like the only fight I can think that is obviously nowhere near Conor, but is something maybe that would be interesting is if he got a BMF fight against Max or something like that. Because at least there's a title on the line, there's a bit of extra money. Max a huge deal at the moment, but I can't see Michael Chandler beating Max Holloway.
Not the Max we're seeing.
No. So yeah, sad times for Michael Chandler. But who did the UFC call when there's something wrong with the main event? Who are you going to call? Alex Pereira. That's who you're going to call, baby. He's the man. That's it. UFC 300. We can't find a good main event. We want Dricus Izzy. It's not working. Yeah. We want something else. It's not working. Yeah. What do? Alex Pereira.
Yeah, man.
It's so good. He steps in and then again, UFC 303. He's over in Australia. He's got 2 broken toes. Yeah, sure. I'll fight Yuri Procházka, one of the most craziest, the Easter Bunny of death. Alex Pereira. Yuri Procházka. Yeah, I'll take him on just 2 weeks' notice. What a legend.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 2 absolute badasses here, aren't we? And when you sent me I think it was Brian Lacey when it sent a little thing to our group of a little kind of meme type picture of Pereira taking the call in his car, saying let's fight. His hands, I just could not stop looking at them. They're huge. And the thought of getting clumped with one of them hands, and it's on the end of that arm that has just got insane power. Props to Yuri because Yuri's bananas anyway, so he's going to be like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. And I think we've just... How do you salvage a card? You put together something like that. It's probably up there with the best you're going to get. At this shorter notice, maybe there was an opportunity for a BMF. I don't know, but this, I'm not mad at it. I'm happy with it.
I mean, we'll get onto this maybe in a minute. I really want to talk about Alex and Yuri because it's such a great thing for him to have taken this fight on short notice. But I think there's an argument that the card overall is better now. It's lost the general appeal. It's lost the kind of star power of Conor. It's lost the intrigue of, is Conor back? How is he going to go? But it's gained, in terms of pure mixed martial arts levels, I think it's better than what it used to be. But I still want to talk about Yuri and Alex. I know you've been fiddling around, messing up the photos.
Yeah, no, we'll go back to it. Just looking at some of we'll get on to the...
But Yuri and Alex, I mean, what a crazy UFC run Alex Pereira has had. I've not got my Tapology up, but I want to bring it up.
What do you want?
I was just thinking about a little bit of a Tapology just for...
on Yuri or Alex?
On Alex Pereira, just because I just want to go through his...
well, he's only been in the UFC for about a month and a half, hasn't he?
Yeah. I've got it now. So Alex Pereira gets into the UFC
2021.
In 2021, November of 2021. So what are we talking now? 2.5 years?
Insane.
2.5 years he's been in the UFC. He has beaten 4 champions.
Yep.
Israel Adesanya. Sean Strickland wasn't a champ at the time, but became champ, so I'm counting him. Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Procházka. No, 5. Jamal Hill. He's beaten 5 UFC champions. How many fights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 8 fights and 2.5 years, he's beaten 5 UFC champions, become a 2-weight world champion, has headlined UFC 300 on short notice, and now steps in to replace Conor McGregor at UFC 303 on 2 weeks' notice. The guy's insane.
Yeah.
And he gets knockouts. He's so much fun. He's brilliant. I remember we did a little guest spot on the MMA On Point thing a while ago, in the lead up to UFC 300. And at the time, people were talking about Alex Pereira coming in. And I was like, my opinion was, he's not a big enough star for it to match up to what people were talking about, like Dana and all that stuff. And I stand by that at the time. I wasn't saying that it wasn't a good fight, Jamal Hill against Alex Pereira. It's a great fight, really fun fight. Could headline any other card, but UFC 300, with the build-up that we had, everyone was talking about Brock and Conor and Ronda coming back and all these different things. And the way it was sold to us was it's going to be the biggest thing ever. And for me, Jamal Hill, Alex Pereira wasn't as interesting or big as Max versus Gaethje. I think I was right. And I think that what happened, though, is that now, with him coming in and doing what he did to Jamal Hill on UFC 300, and now this moment, I didn't tell you this, my son does this to me now. You know the meme, like that?
Yeah.
That. My son, little 7-year-old, like he did it to me yesterday. I said something, but I was wrong about something. And my wife corrected me. And he just came up to me and he was like, see? See? Like that. And that's his thing now. He does that to me like as if like I'm right, you're wrong. See?
Yeah.
And he does the Pereira thing like that.
Brilliant.
But it's big. It's made him a star.
Yeah.
That stuff has made him a star. And this will make him a star, an even bigger star.
His fight style's so exciting though, isn't it?
It's so great. The Shama, the little hand thing. By the way, when I was doing that, for anyone who was just listening, it was the celebration he did over Jamal Hill when I was saying see and what my son does. That kind of gesture where he's just kind of pointing to him with his hands. Such an amazing moment. Alex Pereira is now, I don't think he's obviously not Conor. He's not John Jones. But I don't know. Is he now a bigger star than like, is he? I think he might, maybe.
I know who I'm more excited to watch.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Is he a bigger? I think he might be a bigger star. Is he a bigger star than O'Malley as well now?
I don't know.
I think he might be.
Ooh.
I'm just thinking. I think he's there. I think he's the guy.
Yeah. He's clearly the guy.
He is him, as the kids would say.
Yeah. And this. I mean, obviously, this is obviously a rematch. They fought back in. When did they fight? November last year.
And it was. I don't want to say it was a controversial stoppage. But it was a moment where it happened very quickly, and there were a lot of people saying that the fight should have gone on a little bit longer. But I think I remember Yuri coming out and saying, "Oh no, I was knocked out."
Yeah,
so I've not got too much of a problem with it. But in terms of exciting fights, you're not going to get better than this, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like when you watch Yuri fight, he's so unorthodox and explosive and entertaining, but his hands are low. His fight style, his hands are low. It's part of it, how he sort of operates. But you don't want that when you've got Pereira in front of you. No. Certainly, we know that he's not going to be rushing for a takedown. Pereira, he's going to hopefully dish out a striking masterclass, because that's what we've seen previously. So having them hands low, I know that's his style and what works for him, but I know I'd have my hands if I was in there.
Yeah. I mean, two more things to consider, because obviously when we do our preview of 303, we'll get into the
Just to
details.
clarify where my hands would be if I was in that. It would be rattling on the door saying open it quickly.
Oh, God. Please let me out. We'll get on to what we think about what can happen there. We'll rewatch the first fight, all those things, and get into that when we do our preview of 303. For now, what I want to talk about is two things with relation to this fight. You can pick what we want to talk about first. One, poor Magomed Ankalaev.
Mate.
When is he ever going to get a fight? And the other one, well, no, let's just talk about that. Let's talk about that. Because my opinion is, let's say Yuri Procházka wins this fight. They're doing a trilogy.
Yeah.
For sure they're doing a trilogy. If Alex Pereira wins, he can kind of pick and choose whatever he wants to do next. He's come to the rescue twice for the UFC.
Yeah.
He can choose what he wants to do next. That will go into my next question and talking point in a minute. But where does this put Ankalaev? Because Ankalaev really has been the sort of champion in waiting for a long time. He's just not massively exciting.
Yeah.
But he's beat almost everyone he's fought except for Paul Craig in the last second of that fight. And then the Jan Blachowicz draw that he had, which a lot of people thought he won, which was for the interim belt at the time. Was it for the interim or no, vacant? Vacant belt at the time. So there's another universe where Ankalaev has been champion for ages and has beat all comers, and with his wrestling background could very easily beat an Alex Pereira.
He's in the room, isn't he? And I think he's the only one left. Even Bilal's got out the door now.
Yeah.
I think he's just like, why am I still here? And he must see this. But the bottom line is, when you look at the picture here, I mean, when you look at Pereira, just terrifying. He looks terrifying. And he's got that strap over his shoulder. And then you look at Yuri. I mean, he looks incredible, doesn't he?
He's a video game character. I love him so much.
It's a pure video game character. And then swap him out for a moment for Ankalaev, and it's like...
it's like letting a balloon down, isn't it?
It is. And that's...
And as someone that, I appreciate that Ankalaev deserves it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
But it's just not as much fun.
And I just think... What is he? What is going on in his head? Like, because as far as I'm aware, there's no fight lined up for him.
I don't think so. No. But that's what I'm saying. He probably thought, I'm getting the next title shot.
Yeah.
And now this has happened. He's like, when would that possibly be? Because Alex Pereira can sort of call the shots.
But they're not going to make Pereira
and
Ankalaev to replace Conor McGregor. They had to get someone that's more marketable, and obviously they've found that guy. And I think it's a really exciting fight. But yeah, I mean, you've got to feel for Ankalaev. I don't know when his shot's going to come and what else he's got to do to make that fight happen. Well,
yeah, I mean, I think he has to take another fight now. He beat Johnny Walker after that they had a no contest, then he beat him sort of again, but I mean, it was his own fault. He did that illegal knee, didn't he, in the first fight. Prior to that was that draw with Jan Blachowicz, which Dana White hated that fight, and that's never good. Before that, it was the Anthony Smith fight where Anthony Smith hurt his legs. So it's a little bit bad luck, and not Ankalaev's fault, except the illegal knee was his fault. Thiago Santos, Volkan Oezdemir, Nikita Krylov, Ion Cutelaba again, and then before that, a couple of other people that, to be so rude, not massively like big names in the sport. But he was on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's on a 12-fight unbeaten streak. Obviously, we've got the no contest and the draw. 12 fights unbeaten. That's huge. That's more than like Leon Edwards. And we were moaning about him not getting his title shot and stuff. Yeah, it sucks to be Magomed Ankalaev right now.
It really does. But right about now, I don't give a shit. I'm going to watch Pereira versus Yuri, mate.
Yes, we do. Sorry, Magomed. We know you deserve it, but that's what we want. Okay. The other thing, I don't know how you're going to feel about this.
Okay.
Alex Pereira beats Yuri Procházka.
Yes.
Let's say that he says, no, I want to go up to heavyweight. And I feel John Jones is avoiding Tom Aspinall, my personal opinion, but he would love to fight Alex Pereira because not only is he a bigger name, but Alex Pereira has a very limited, amazing skill set, but limited skill set, and it's a much easier fight for John Jones. Alex Pereira versus John Jones, are you interested as a fan, and what do you think is the likelihood of it actually happening?
Yeah, of course I'm interested.
Really? I'm not.
I don't think it'll happen. I think the Stipe fight is the reason that he's not fighting, because I think he wants Stipe's name on his resume as arguably the best heavyweight to do it. You know, if that's your view. I know a lot of people's are about Stipe. I think he wants that scalp. He's waited this long for it. And I don't know. I mean, he would look at Pereira and just think, I would throw him all over the octagon.
Yep.
But then also, I don't know. I'm not writing off Pereira anymore. I'm not. And I'd like to see more of his ground game because...
Why?
Well, no, because
it's so much fun.
I know, but sooner or later it's gonna get tested more, isn't it? And I think he's got Glover in his corner, and so I wonder what it's like. I don't know, but
I don't think it's very good. I think we saw some of it with the Izzy fight, didn't we?
Yeah. But look. There's only one fight I want to see in the heavyweight division, and that's Aspinall versus John Jones.
We're never getting
and it's not going to happen.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think Tom's realised that now. You know, he's put it on him, and he's met him, and you know, spoke to him about it, and I don't know. Let's say Stipe doesn't get fight fit and it doesn't happen. Do you think we will see John Jones fight anyone else, or do you think he'll just quit?
I think he might fight Alex Pereira. I feel the complete opposite to you about this subject. I feel like I have no interest in it because I think it's another easy fight for John Jones because I don't think Alex Pereira has much of a ground game. So I have zero interest in it, but I actually think it's quite possible.
Do you
I think financially and for fan interest and generating a buzz, maybe it's the biggest after this. Him stepping in, and if he beats Yuri again, especially if he knocks him out, I think it could be the biggest fight the UFC could put on. I think financially it's the biggest, other than a Conor fight, I think people will go nuts for it.
Do you think the UFC would bypass an interim champ?
Yes.
You think?
100%.
Just because of the star quality of it?
I just think they'll go, it's champ versus champ. It's legacy. It's a guy that's done so much in such a short period of time against the GOAT.
Yeah.
And also, I think the biggest factor in all of it, I think the UFC would love to do John Jones, Tom Aspinall. They'd love it. But he ain't going to go for it.
Yeah.
But he would go for this. Because I think he can see that he'd get an awful lot of attention. I think it's a way, way easier fight. Pereira would want to do it for the legacy. Could be a 3-weight world champ, never had that before, and he gets the chance at John Jones. The money, I think, would be huge that would be generated from that fight for everyone involved. So I can actually see it happening. But if it does, I will be disappointed because I don't want to see it. I'd rather see Pereira fight people at light heavyweight and do that, and I want to see... Either John, just go away. Thank you very much for everything you've done. Brilliant, great, well done. And let's have Tom have his moment now, and let's see how well he can dominate the heavyweight division. Because
the alternative is potentially Ankalaev, and the UFC ain't interested in that.
No, and Alex ain't interested in that.
It's a very winnable fight for Ankalaev because of his fight style. I don't think anyone's overly excited to see that fight. I think the UFC are like, look, we've got this guy that has got a highlight reel that just keeps getting better. Why are we going to risk it just watching him being rolled around the octagon with somebody that's going to become the champ that no one is interested in. And I mean that with the greatest respect.
Yep.
Because Ankalaev has not got star quality. I think you could be right. I think he could be looking at that. We don't know. I mean, let's say, for instance, Curtis Blades gets injured. Who are they going to call?
Alex Pereira.
we're talking like this is a dumb fight. He's fighting you, Procházka. Like, that's no easy fight.
I'd actually like to see Yuri win so we get the trilogy. Because
Yeah.
that's just fun fights. I want to see really good fun fights from the top talents in their respective divisions.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. So, yeah. Yep. That's what I'm not massively interested in Tom versus Alex Pereira either. Because I think the same thing will happen in that Tom's ground game's too good. He'll take him down the weight, all that stuff. And I just don't think Pereira will be able to deal with that. You've just brought up Carlos Olberg versus Jamal Hill.
Jamal Hill's face says it all there.
I know. This was already a replacement. Carlos Olberg stepped in for Khalil Roundtree. Now Jamal Hill has an injury. And in steps Anthony Lionheart Smith. So
I mean, he only fought what? Wasn't very long ago, was it?
Anthony Smith, I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, he fought.
I know Carlos Olberg didn't fight too long ago.
When did Anthony Smith fight last?
Anthony Smith fought Vitor Petrino in May.
Yeah.
So, just a tiny little bit over a month ago, about 6 weeks ago. And prior to that was his loss to Khalil Roundtree. So he's on a kind of win-lose kind of streak at the moment. Carlos Olberg, really great prospect, has been looking really good, but has not fought anyone. Jamal Hill was a huge step up. Huge step up. Would have been really interesting, but was a massive step up. This is now a bit more of an expected step up. I think Anthony Smith is a really good veteran and is maybe underrated in some circles. But Carlos Olberg has been looking so good. This is going to be a really interesting fight. And I think this is more what you would have expected as the natural progression for Carlos Olberg, is fighting someone like Anthony Smith. Jamal Hill was a huge step up, but would have been fascinating to watch. So, we'll have to see how that one goes. In terms of, we're talking about future opponents for Alex Pereira, there has been beef between Anthony Smith and Alex Pereira previously. I know you're kind of like shaking your head at it, and I understand. I'm not overly interested in Smith versus Pereira. But if Pereira's calling the shots, and if Anthony Smith got a big win against Carlos Olberg on the same card as Alex Pereira, uses that mic time well, Anthony Smith he's favoured by the UFC. He does the punditry and all that kind of stuff. He's been a kind of company man, as it were, for a long time.
You can't give it to him over Ankalaev. Come on. Like, he's got a very checkered fight history over the last sort of few years. Smith, I'm not feeling that, mate.
Look, meritocracy, I agree with you, but we know that's not the world that we live in.
Of course.
You know, Anthony Smith will pull in more fans. I know, not a huge amount, I don't think, but he will pull in more fans. And Alex Pereira might go, I'll fight him because I'll be favoured in that fight. Could happen.
I don't see that. Look, it's time that we dream, believe, and make it happen. Because I'm obviously referencing Diego Lopes' shockingly bad tattoo.
Dream, believe, and make it happen. He has.
He's fighting Brian Ortega, and I'm loving this fight.
Great fight. Really,
big
really
step up for Lopes.
Yes, huge step up for Lopes. Lopes has been looking really, really good lately.
Coming off a win against Sadiq Youssef, wins over Pat Sabatini and Gavin Tucker.
And all like early finishes, right?
All round one finishes. Obviously, took the loss to Evloev.
And that was in his short notice debut. And we know Evloev is very, very good.
Yeah. Loving this fight.
And then he's up against a Brian Ortega that just came back from a long layoff with injury. and came back in February to fight Yair Rodriguez in a rematch where the previous one he injured his shoulder and he got a win. And I think a lot of people weren't expecting that. I remember Rodriguez sort of maybe gassing himself out a little bit, winning round 1 quite convincingly, but then gassing himself out a little bit. And then Brian Ortega got the arm triangle choke in round 3. Brian Ortega looked pretty decent in that fight from what I remember, other than maybe... did he get a bit rocked a bit in round 1? I feel like I remember Yair doing well in round 1, but if I'm wrong, forgive me. But that's what I remember of the fight. And then Brian Ortega coming back really well. He's got a great chin on him, Brian Ortega. Obviously, lethal on the ground, fantastic submissions. Diego Lopes is a fighter that's also very good on the ground, very good submissions.
Completely
hits very hard.
Unranked.
Is he unranked at the moment?
And he's fighting number 3. That's
wow.
That's a big opportunity there.
Yeah, that. Oh no, he's ranked 14th. Diego Lopes is ranked 14th.
Sorry, yeah, my bad.
It's still to fight the number 3 guy.
Yeah.
The one worry I have with Diego Lopes is he's a big dude.
Weight. Yeah.
He's a big guy. Can he make the weight on 2 weeks' notice? That will be interesting. But what we've seen from Diego Lopes is he brings it very, very quickly. He's in your face. He's landing big strikes. And if it goes to the ground, he's got very good submission game. And it's, it's a very short period of time for Lopes to get ready. And he is a big guy. So hopefully that won't be an issue. But I think this was maybe getting lined up for the Sphere. So they've pulled it forward. So they knew they might be fighting each other, but obviously they haven't been able to do the work they would have done, the study they would have done on each other. So this could be a fun one. I think with it being the weight cut at short notice, maybe it's Lopes early in the same manners that he's done things by knockout. But we know Brian Ortega's very, very tough. He's got a very strong chin.
Yeah.
Maybe with the weight cut on the short notice and all that stuff, maybe the fight goes longer, the more it goes in favour of Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see on that one. The other thing I wanted to talk about with regards to UFC 303 was Michael Venom Page and Ian Garry. Just because I think the reason that this fight was made on this card was that Ian Garry wanted to fight on a Conor McGregor undercard, which made all the sense in the world. It would have raised his profile. They've got the Irish connection. They could have been at a press conference together or doing some stuff together. And, that would have really helped out his profile and boosted him with the Irish fans all over the world, all that kind of stuff. Now, we have a situation where not only is Conor not on the card, but from the way it looks to me, the co-main event of the evening is Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes. I don't think they're going to put this fight above Carlos Olberg and Anthony Smith. So, does it open the card? Is that what's going on? And is that what Ian Garry would have wanted? And it makes me wonder, you've got a fight card in Manchester, in just a month's time or whatever it is. Do you say hold off for a month and do it in Manchester?
No.
Is that because that gives MVP sort of home country advantage? Or is it just because fans will be fuming if you take away another fight from them on this card?
You've got a lot of Irish fans that have got tickets.
Yeah.
And you don't then take another Irishman off the card.
Yeah.
And I think, look, as much as we've discussed how exciting, Ortega Lopes, Yuri versus Pereira is, it's not Conor McGregor. So you've got to still load that card with great fights, and MVP Ian Garry's going to be a great fight. And I can't wait for it. And I think, aside from Yuri, this is the fight that I'm most excited to watch.
I agree. I think this is a cracking fight.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to lose it from 303, but if we go to Manchester...
303's... Manchester's great. It doesn't need this.
Yeah, but if we go to Manchester, then that'd be good to see it live, wouldn't it?
But they're both our pals now, and I don't want to side with one. They're both really nice. Who do you want to win?
I don't know.
Say hello.
I like them both. Can we just really pally up to the winner?
Block the loser.
Block the loser. You're blocked, mate. No, No, we love them both. Good, great, exciting fighters.
Yeah.
Really interesting
Who do you wanna win?
personalities. Stop doing that to me.
Oh, we'll do it next week.
What?
I want to know.
Why?
Because I think it's important that the watchers of this show and the listeners get you off the fence, because they've thrown it at me enough that I'm on the fence.
You've got splinters in your arse. You're on the fence so much, mate. You can do one. Right. Other than that, then, I don't know. There's much more to say about that scenario. I think you've said it well. I think the fans will be pissed off. We've got another pullout, another problem. Khamzat Chimaev this weekend was supposed to be headlining Saudi Arabia card, which is on at a good time, as well, on at like 8 p.m. main card or something like that. Supposed to be Khamzat versus Robert Whittaker. Khamzat is out. Apparently, there's an illness there.
Apparently he's really ill. He's trying to shared a picture of him in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
He did not look well.
It immediately just makes me think he had COVID so bad years ago that he announced his own retirement. Obviously, he went back on that and everything. It just makes you think, is it a long COVID thing? Like doing this kind of training, day in, day out, preparing fight camps, all that kind of stuff, takes a real toll on your body. And if you've got long COVID or any kind of long COVID symptoms, how are you going to train and prepare at that kind of intense level and not get ill? I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of armchair doctor in it here. I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that he does have long COVID, but the fact that he did have COVID in such a bad way just makes me think there's potentially something more going on there, and could it be linked to that? And I'd say there's a possibility of that.
I worry that, he's clearly not well, and obviously in the past we've had issues with weight, and we've had all sorts of issues and controversy around him, because when he started to kind of make a name for himself in the UFC, he was the guy everybody was saying, here's the next champ. It's, he's written, it's going to happen. And this was a fight that I was so excited for.
Me too.
And I just wonder if we're going to see like Chimaev fight ever.
Whatever, again.
I just think like he's clearly got something wrong. And from what we gather, I mean, I know all fighters train hard, but apparently his training thing is pretty relentless. And if his body's struggling to cope with it, I mean, this is guesswork.
He had that allergic reaction a while ago, didn't he? As well?
Yeah,
his face was all blown up.
Terrifying, and so something's not right.
Yeah.
And I hope it is just a series of like, little illnesses that aren't linked to anything, but yeah, I worry we're missing out on the best years of a fighter, because he's so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And I just think we're not getting to see it, because when did he last fight?
Usman. Was that October?
Who did he fight before that?
Was that the Kevin Holland fight where he missed weight on the Nate Diaz card and everything, and he really messed up there, didn't he?
Like, yeah, it's I don't know. I just hope he's all right and we do get to see him fight again ultimately. But another person I feel really sorry for here is Bobby Knuckles, because a win over Khamzat, I think, would have secured Bobby Knuckles a shot at whoever wins the rumoured fight between DDP and Izzy.
I'm not convinced about that.
No,
but
I know.
But go on.
I know. But I mean, Aliskerov's just literally all of his dreams have just come true, haven't they?
Yeah. So Khamzat Chimaev out. Ikram Aliskerov comes in. Ikram Aliskerov is really good. And there's not much in this for Rob, because if he wins, a lot of people will say, oh, well, who is Ikram Aliskerov? Aliskerov's really good.
Look at who he's fought, though.
It's a huge step up.
Yeah.
But Khamzat Chimaev himself said his toughest fight ever was Ikram Aliskerov back in the days where they were in more regional organisations. But yeah, Aliskerov, loads of finishes. Not the wrestler that Khamzat is, but a better striker than Khamzat, I would say. Still a combat sambo champion as well, which we know is a very good base for MMA. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It feels like a no-win situation for Rob because, as you say, a win over Aliskerov doesn't carry any of the weight as a win of Khamzat Chimaev. But it's still an incredibly tough fight. And as you
it's
say,
not going to put him any
Aliskerov
closer to I mean, unless Whittaker starches him in spectacular fashion very quickly and just, bolts something to his highlight reel. I just think, I don't know. I mean, hopefully what we're going to see is Whittaker in fantastic shape.
I'm sure we will. He would have been training hard for Khamzat.
And Ikram maybe not being, as
well, he
fit
was supposed to fight this weekend, so he's been in fight camp. So I
Who
think
is he due to fight?
Someone that's unranked. I don't know.
Right.
I can't remember. But he was scheduled to fight this weekend, and he got pushed from that card to this. To take over from Khamzat. Aliskerov was supposed to fight on Saturday just gone, the Tyra versus Perez card, but he's been pushed forward or pushed back a week, which means that we are going to get a Robert Whittaker that was ready to fight Khamzat Chimaev. He's going to be fit, healthy, really prepared, and an Aliskerov who was at the very least training very hard for a fight. So he's going to be in fight shape. So we're going to get, I think, a really good fight here. I worry for Robert Whittaker because he's been preparing for someone slightly different. Aliskerov is, I think, a much better striker than Khamzat Chimaev. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. If Aliskerov wins this fight, it puts him right in there, and I don't know what that means for Robert Whittaker going forward.
I hope he's earning a lot of money for this.
I hope he's been at least given a bit extra. Surely he would have done. The big winner in all of this, for me, is Sean Strickland. Because we thought we were seeing a fight happening here where if Khamzat won, Khamzat was the number one guy with a bullet type thing. If Rob Whittaker won, you thought maybe that put him ahead of Sean Strickland. I personally wasn't sure of that. I feel like... But now, Strickland, I think, is the number one guy. It looks like they're trying to do Dricus du Plessis against Israel Adesanya for later in the summer or early autumn. Probably in the Perth, Australia card, which is at maybe 305. So that'd be August or something like that, I think. So I think that's the plan. Whether it actually happens or not, I don't know, but that's the plan. If they can't make that work for whatever reason, or if a winner of that fight comes out relatively unscathed and is up for fighting in December or something like that, Sean Strickland is now, in my opinion, the guy that's getting the next title shot after that. Because if Izzy's not going to make it work... then you can easily do Dricus versus Strickland, the rematch, because the first fight was controversial in a lot of people's eyes. I scored it for Strickland even. If Izzy beats Dricus, that fight makes all the sense in the world. And as I've just said, for the reasons I just said, Dricus-Strickland rematch makes a lot of sense if Dricus gets past Israel Adesanya. So I think we're going to get a Strickland title fight before February of next year.
Oh, come on, Bobby Knuckles.
I think even with a win, Bobby Knuckles can't do it. I really don't think he can. The rest of the Saudi card, it's a decent card in comparison to what we've had lately, like the weekend just gone, the Louisville card, all these things. Not been great cards. I wrote some fun action in them, like the Louisville card, less so the one that just went this Saturday. But this has got a bit more star power about it. We've got Volkov, Pavlovich. Pavlovich coming off his loss to Tom Aspinall, but before that was on a 6-fight win streak against the likes of Blades, Tuivasa, Derek Lewis, people like that. So, Pavlovich...
Let's not forget, just because he lost to Tom, how terrifying that man was. Everyone was... we was all worried for Tom, weren't we?
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, he was putting people to sleep, like big boys, and he was putting them away. And so, excited to see how his return's going to look. And
he looks really surprised in this photo as well.
Yeah. Nearly as surprised as Johnny Walker looks. He's got that sort of pat as well, hasn't he? So we've got Johnny Walker on the card as well. Uzdemir and Daniel Rodriguez is fighting Kelvin Gastelum.
I think with that heavyweight fight, I think because Volkov, he only loses to really good fighters, Volkov. Tom Aspinall was his last loss as well. He's been on a 3-fight win streak since then. Wins over Rosenstrike. Romanov, I know that's a kind of a step down in competition, but Tai Tuivasa as well.
Yeah.
the thing with this fight for me is, can Volkov avoid the power of Sergey Pavlovich long enough? Because I think he's a better technical striker. He's rangy, he's good, all that kind of stuff. He did it for 5 rounds almost against Derek Lewis in that fight where Derek Lewis knocked him out of like a minute to go or whatever. But for 24 minutes, Volkov had done really, really well. I think Pavlovich is a bit more athletic than Derek Lewis. I think Pavlovich is a bit more.
I think that's quite safe to say.
Yeah, I think he seeks out the knockout a bit quicker, doesn't just let it kind of happen naturally always. And I can see Pavlovich landing a big shot and finishing this early. But Volkov's a really tough test and a good fighter. Yeah,
it is interesting that sort of Pavlovich has sort of disappeared out of any kind of sort of heavyweight talks since that loss to Tom. And it, like I say, it was literally just until that buzzer went for that fight to start, everybody was saying, this guy, he's the problem. And so I wonder if what a win over Volkov does for him, like where it puts him in any kind of title contention, if at all.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, if Blades beats Tom and Pavlovich gets this win, you could see Blades versus Pavlovich. But I think if Tom keeps hold of the belt, that's maybe a little bit trickier. But I do think heavyweight's one of those divisions where you've got some really great guys at the very, very top. Your John Jones, Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades. I think you probably put Pavlovich in with that as well, given his kind of resume and the run that he was on. And then you've got the step below. And I think Pavlovich is above the Tai Tuivasas, the Derek Lewises, probably the Volkovs as well, but we'll have to wait and see. The Rosenstrikes, people like that. I think he's above those guys. So I do think he can maybe, especially if he performs in the way that he was before. I think all of his fights were like first round knockouts or something like that. Yeah, 6-fight win streak. All first-round KOs.
What more do you want from a heavyweight fighter?
If he does that again, if he goes on like a 3-fight win streak, he beats Volkov, he beats someone else and someone else, they've got to give him a rematch with Tom.
Absolutely.
I think it makes sense. So if Tom is still the champ at the time. Ozdemir Walker will be fun. And I think Gastelum Rodriguez could be interesting. Not sure. Gastelum down at welterweight, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do think this card has lost massively now that Khamzat is no longer on it. It's certainly lost some star power and some intrigue there. There's probably only one thing left to talk about, unless you've got something else, and that's what happened at the weekend.
Well, let me tell you about the weekend. So I got in from work about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, I've got Sky TV now. Let's pop on some TN Sports and see what's on. And I caught a couple of fights and promptly fell asleep on the sofa. But I think I was trying to sort of rewind or fast forward something like the granddad that I am. And I pressed something. I've still not quite got my head around the remote.
This is so old.
It's so tragic. But it turns out that I'd stopped recording it and then I tried to record it again. I thought I'll watch the rest in the morning. So I got up, went downstairs to watch it in the morning, and it had only recorded the stuff that I'd already watched. So Brilliant. I've not actually seen the Pereira fight. So tell me about it.
How can it record? Oh, I don't know how that works. So the Tatsuro Taira versus Perez, it was sort of okay for I think it was like a round and a bit. And then Tatsuro Taira really started to take over, and he used some interesting grappling where he ended up with like a body triangle around Alex Perez and was using his lower leg that wasn't wrapped around Perez's body. I'm trying to sort of act it out and it's not quite working. To kind of, the lower leg was kind of pushing against the inside of Perez's left thigh. And then he just let his hands go and was leaning right over to try and pull him to the ground. I'd never really seen that before. It was a really interesting technique. And then eventually he got him down. But as he did, I believe it was Perez's right leg seemed to just go from beneath him. His knee seemed to snap. And you did see like a little jolt as you watched it of him going down.
No, thank you.
And so, so he's won by, I don't know if they would class that as a TKO or whatever. But a lot of people talking about the fact that Tatsuro Taira did that on purpose to damage the knee. I don't think that's true. I think he was just trying to get him to the ground. But the way that Perez was staying on his feet and then his right leg was clearly taking a lot of the weight and just buckled underneath him. I don't think that was an intentional move to damage the knee. But it was certainly an unorthodox technique to get him to the ground. Tatsuro Taira, I think now will be ranked about 5th. So it's about who he gets next. I mean, he's very exciting. He's only 24 years old and he's looking really, really good. He called out Alejandro Pantoja, the champion.
That's an ambitious call.
It's an ambitious call. I mean, look, he did just fight the 10th ranked guy in Steve Erceg. Yeah. So I can see why he would call for that fight. But the reason the Erceg fight happened is because they needed a headliner for Brazil and there was no one else available. I personally think the winner of Mohamed Makayev versus Manel Kape will probably get the title shot next.
I agree.
Brandon Royval is always up there, but he's lost twice to Pantoja. Brandon Moreno's taking a break, but he's lost 3 times to Pantoja. Amir Albazi, I don't know what's going on with him. I think he had to pull out of a fight due to injury a while ago or something, but he's ranked 3rd and he was on like a good little streak, slightly controversial win over Kai Kara France, but whatever. And then Kai Kara France, I think, has been injured for a long time, so I don't know what's going on with him.
He's going to be back for the Perth card, isn't he?
You would hope so, yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, so I think the winner of Makayev Kape gets that fight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think Tatsuro Taira ranked 5th, if he will be, because that's where Alex Perez is now as we read this, and obviously they're probably more likely to swap positions or whatever. So yeah, I think he's definitely in for a shot of maybe getting the loser of Makayev Kape, or you know, if Kape has a weight issue and we know about it sooner rather than later, because wouldn't be the first time Manel Kape's missed weight. Do you bring in Tatsuro Taira as a potential replacement? Also, you know, maybe because he seems to come out of that unscathed. If Albazi's fit, if Kai Kara France is fit, if Brandon Royval is fit and ready to go. These are all fights he can have. So it's a great win for Tatsuro Taira, 24 years of age, now in the top 5. And it looks like all the fights that he could have next could potentially be title eliminator fights. So really great moment for him. We'll have to see where this goes, but certainly an exciting journey for him at 24 years of age to be doing as well as he's doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, we didn't necessarily get the fights we thought we was going to get, but I think props to the UFC. They've given us some absolutely fantastic fights that might not be exactly what we wanted, but I think we've got some great fights to look forward to. You've got your accreditation now, so me and you are off to Manchester for the UFC. So
we'll book some hotels.
We're going to get some hotels and make some sweet, sweet love.
Yeah. Love, we both did that. I went a bit more PC. PC, I don't know, what we say.
Yeah, so that's good. So we're going to get up there and hopefully get some great content for you. Loitering around the Fighters Hotel, really, with our cameras, trying to hassle people to come and have a chat with us. So hopefully we get some good stuff for you there, and do some pre and post stuff for Manchester as well, which is going to be super exciting. Other than that, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, have a nice time. I'll tell you what you need to do in the meantime. Pop over to Ferocious Fightwear or Fat Candy and get yourself some goodies. Voila. Bye.
Bye.